While Mercedes had a really good weekend, it was not very, very fortuitous for Ferrari. The best and the worst weekends for Mercedes and Ferrari, respectively, this season came at a crucial time in Brazil, with Mercedes tallying 43 points in its pursuit of P2 in the constructors. Ferrari eked out just 6 points, across just the sprint, 0 in the feature race with a double DNF. With the result, Mercedes propelled themselves 32 points ahead of the next closest constructor, which I don't know if you know, but it is not Ferrari at this point. It is now Red Bull, with basically Max Verstappen and one arm tied behind his back. He is
Max
P3.
Verstappen and the powership of friendship.
In the powers of friendship, exactly. Ferrari have fallen behind Red Bull to P4 in the championship. And I had said the week prior how vital Kimi Antonelli's performance the rest of the way would be. He came through huge with P2s everywhere he looked. But Ferrari's best point-scoring opportunity ended harshly with the second yellow flag restart. Leclerc on the receiving end of Oscar Piastri's domino effect that sent Kimi into Charles and DNF'd him. Lewis Hamilton's really rough Saturday turned into a really rough Sunday. Damage at the start of the race sent him to the back of the pack. Penalties, hampered efforts. And just to salvage the engine, Ferrari called them into box early. This weekend feels like a huge dagger in the hopes of the Scuderia. Mercedes are driving fantastically at this stage of the year. This is a 36-point gap over the boys in red for the Silver Arrows, making matters worse for Ferrari. I don't know if you saw this, but there's some tension. There's some tension from the higher-ups. Executive Chairman John Elkann, who, will I remind you, was super instrumental into bringing Lewis Hamilton into Ferrari this offseason, telling the media after Brazil that Hamilton and Leclerc need to, in the words of Rihanna, shut up and drive. I'm just kidding. To focus on driving and talking less. It's been rough, man. It's been rough for Ferrari. I want to know what your thoughts are. I want to know I want to know what the TLPs think too, but Khaki Kevin Walker, is this thing a done deal for P2 in the constructors? Is this the pit of despair that creeps ever bit lower for Ferrari? Is this the epitome?
Well, 5 for P2 is over. 5 for P2 is over. Mercedes can claim that, I guess, silver place constructors, if that's a thing.
It would be a silver medal. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. I didn't know if they actually officially handed out trophies for P2.
I mean, they hand out a lot of prize money for second place. I'll give you that.
Well, I know the money is for sure, and that's all they really care about. But either way, as far as is it a done deal for Ferrari, for the Scuderia? I'm going to lean no. We knew that this year was going to be, me and you knew that this year was going to be a bit of not a struggle, but we knew it was going to take a little bit of time for Lewis to get acclimated in the Ferrari red. Everybody was crowning them champions as soon as, before the season started, saying that, Lewis. I can just think about the conversations that were being had about Lewis just absolutely scorched earth this season and how Ferrari...
Look, I was there. I'm not going to pretend like I wasn't there. I thought that he had a really good shot because of how strong they looked to end 2024. They were really close to taking the constructors off of your papaya plate. It was not a done deal in Abu Dhabi. And then they overhauled the car, completely changed everything based on the reports that I read. And this has been the result. Something that is effectively undrivable, except for, one season high in China with Lewis hitting the sprint first place. It's been rough this year for Ferrari. And I know a lot of Ferrari fans, this is not the year that they were envisioning based on how 2024 ended.
I say this, and then I continue on with, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Calm down. They're going to hang out and figure it out. Well, they probably won't hang out. That's actually a complete lie. They're probably not going to see each other very much during the off season. They've already started working on that. They started working on that 2026 car a long time ago. And look, you got a 50-50 chance. Either you're going to nail the regulations, keep Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, and Ferrari's going to be fighting for championships in the future, or you're not going to nail the regulations and it's a fire sale. And then, well, that's not as good. So you better hope for the other one. I'll just say that. But I think that this year is a little bit of a dumpster fire for Ferrari. But I think with all the work they put into 2026, I still, you should still hold out some hope for the future.
I mean, look, Hamilton's referred to this 2025 campaign in no mincing of words at times, calling it a nightmare. The 7-time champ, of course, like I just mentioned, his best result came back in China. That was almost 8 months ago, to illustrate what you mentioned earlier by how long the Formula One season really is. And he hasn't found himself in the top 3 during any Grand Prix Sundays. And Hamilton, after the comments about focusing on driving and talking less from Elkin, went out of his way to post on social media, I back my team, back myself. I'm not going to give up, which is, very on brand for Lewis, very, this is something you would say. Leclerc's willed Ferrari to a number of podiums this year with giving him respect. And after Sunday, he was quoted as saying he was just not happy. He called the car slow. And I don't know, there just seems to be some level of division. The mechanics have been fantastic this year, according to John Elkin. As far as the DHL fastest pit stop award is going to go, Ferrari are kicking ass at that. That's the one thing they can hang their hats on this year. But this is the first year in at least a few years where Ferrari are looking like they're going to go winless. The last time this happened was 2021 during the fight between, Mercedes and Red Bull and a couple of, wins from McLaren as well as Alpine that year. At this stage of the fight, 2024, wrap it up. It's done. It's cooked. Show up on the Sundays, kiss some babies, smile for the camera, sign some autographs. I think to kind of touch on your point you made a little bit ago, yeah, this was always going to be an adjustment year for Lewis. That was always kind of the vision. To say how disappointing this year is, though, considering how close they were to a constructor's title last year, to not innovate based off of what success you had, to overhaul everything and start over from scratch and chase some level of ambition on what this car was going to be this year was the wrong decision, top down. It just was. And you can place that maybe at Fred Vasseur's feet. You can place that at the technical staff's feet. But the decision to overhaul everything was just the wrong direction to go. And it's cost fans, it's cost Lewis, it's cost Charles an extra year of their lives of supporting this team that for some reason just has not been able to get it together since the days of like Kimi Räikkönen in terms of a World Drivers' Championship. It's been rough. 2026 is looking like it's going to be an interesting one for Ferrari because there have been reports of an interesting, ambitious direction going on behind the scenes that in prior years might have been inspiring, but going into a new regulation, that's either going to spell doom or it's going to spell ultimate success. You can either hit this thing with an ambitious strategy. You can hit this thing with, something that's not mapped out specifically and hope that it sticks and works out well. But if you ask Mercedes about 2022, while they ended P2 in the championship that year, they consider that a very lost year, right? They went ambitious with the zero pod strategy and it just didn't work out for them. It took them forever to come back to winning races. They didn't win a race, I think, in 2023. So Ferrari really do need to nail next year to kind of touch on your point. They really do need to boost this morale. The offseason for them is going to be a nice refresh. Look, Lewis in red is pretty cool. It's fun to look at, but at the same time, I think we would all like to see Lewis standing on the top step at some point wearing red. I think that's just what we're all kind of hoping for. Or God forbid, Charles Leclerc actually be competing for a World Drivers' Championship because the guy is way too talented to be wasting his golden years of Formula One at a team that just cannot quite figure it out. They just can't. So that all the way. I just want to know what the TLPs think. What do you guys think about this mess at Ferrari? Did Hamilton make the wrong move? Is there any chance for a win these final 3 races? Whether it's for a podium versus Lewis or a win for Charles, somebody. What's the ceiling here? Is this championship fight over for P2? I just want to know what the TLPs think. Drop it down in the comments below.